Welcome to the Boston Art Podcast,
Boston's premier art podcast,
where we talk art, culture, and philosophy.
My name is Theodore Earthworms.
And I am Brian Huntress.
Welcome to the show.
All right. Boston Art Podcast. We haven't released or recorded in three weeks.
Yeah.
What do you think of that, Theo?
I actually, I think this is the first time that we've had a break that was long enough that I didn't miss it until I did. And I was thinking about it like 2 days ago that I was like, you know what? I actually feel sad about the fact that we haven't recorded in a while and I want to go back to doing that.
It's kind of funny because I feel like when the podcast, I'm like Dorian Gray. Like if the podcast is messed up, I'm messed up.
Yeah, that's
not
true.
really how Dorian Gray works, but
I haven't read it actually.
Well, Dorian Gray is that it isn't the same principle.
The painting, right?
Well, yeah, any damage or aging or anything inflicted on him goes onto the painting and not on him.
So it's like the other way around for you.
Yeah. Like the portrait of Dorian Gray is like this absolutely horrifying, fucked up portrait of like a corpse man.
Yeah. Because
all of the damage of his life goes onto the painting.
So in this case, the corpse man is just you.
I'm the corpse man, yeah. I suffer so that the podcast can thrive.
No, that's not true.
It isn't true, really.
It's a little. There's like a seed of truth, but it's not the truth.
There is no suffering and there is no thriving.
I think it thrives.
The podcast is not really thriving, and I'm not really suffering.
The podcast thrives. I don't think there's suffering. I think that there's sometimes suffering, but there's also thriving. Whatever. I think that the break has been good for both of us.
We've also been... the break couldn't have come at a better time because we've been through a lot in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah. Some fucked up shit happened.
Do you care to talk about it? Or do you want to talk about any of that?
I mean, I can, I guess. I don't know that I want to get into it at length because I still kind of can do that without crying, but...
Of course not. Yeah.
Yeah. My grandfather died.
Which is just...
I was very close to.
Yeah, it's just devastating. I'm sure everybody listening relates or has that lump in their throat or pain in their heart from their own life.
Yeah.
Everybody has been there or will be there.
It was about a week and a half ago. Yeah,
so it's very fresh.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's been nice because it was a sudden downturn and a very long illness. So my family simultaneously had like no time to prepare and cope with it and like a long time to prepare and cope with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like it kind of was the best case scenario by the time that it did happen. It was just still really hard to watch. But so that's kind of like, it's one of those things where it's like there's some relief in the grieving, I guess, which has been making it kind of easier to deal with. But another thing that's been really nice too is that I've been very lucky up until this point in my life that nobody that I'm like really, really close to has ever passed away. Like I've had some people in my life who had a profound impact on me, but not like family members or like very close friends or anything like that, which is pretty uncommon because I'm 26. So I was not super prepared for it. But I guess the silver lining of that is that pretty much everybody I know has been so kind to me about it, and a lot of people have been very generous with their time and like kindness, so that's been really nice. Like unexpected outpouring of love from a lot of people, just because I feel like it's a relatable pain, I guess.
Of course.
But yeah, I don't know.
Thank you for sharing.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, you're welcome. I also am finding something about myself is that I really don't like talking about it very much.
Of course,
like,
yeah.
I do, but I also don't.
Yeah, you gotta, it's significant, huge events in life, good or bad, take a long time to process.
Yeah.
And it's not really comfortable, or maybe not even very good to talk about things at length that aren't fully processed.
Yeah.
It's like your body trying to digest things that it can't digest, and the pain that comes with that.
Yeah, and it's a really weird thing too, because it's like, I think a lot of the time when something happens, like, I think a death is just so public that like it's hard to, like, I took a week off of work. My family, anybody who knows my family knows that this happened. Like, it's something that people that I even people I don't know very well know occurred because like a person passed away, you know. And with a lot of like significant emotional traumas, you can kind of like guard it, like that information, from the rest of your life and talk about it when you want to. And with this, it's something that's so recent that there's really no scab over it yet. It's just like a ton of emotion ready to bubble up whenever. And just like some people, like when I say a lot of people were really, really kind about it, they definitely were. And then there's a lot of people that were like people just sometimes ask you like really stupid, ignorant questions. And I have no defenses built up yet for how to deal with that.
Just really just insensitive, poorly timed things.
Yeah. Like somebody who I don't know very well asked me recently, did you at least get to talk to him before he died? And he was like unconscious for like 3 days. And I was just like, not really. And they were just like, oh. And I was like, yeah.
And there's just some things you just shouldn't...
Don't fucking ask that question.
Yeah, just, there's something you shouldn't, like... There's like, I think what we're just describing tact. Like, you gotta just have tact.
Just like read the fucking room anytime ever that anything happens to you. Maybe.
Like, yeah. You know what I've been told is the best... Like, I don't know where I heard this, but it was advice on how to respond to somebody who has told somebody that they have lost a loved one. And the lady just said that you should just ask what the person's name was. And I thought that was just such a nice way to think about responding to other people's grief.
Yeah, that is nice. Because it's like, it's not something where you have to make the person share a lot of details if they don't want to, but it's still an invested question, you know?
Yeah. Like, I was talking to someone one time, and they were saying that they had lost a pet, and then I was just like, oh, what was the pet's... And it was very cold. It was a very cold moment. But then I was like, oh, what was your pet's name? And then they, like, talked for a long time.
Yeah.
And it felt like that it made, like, actually invoking who the person was opened up a positive space to talk about it.
Yeah.
Rather than, you know...
That's nice.
Have it be this cold and awkward, tactless engagement.
But it also gives them the opportunity to just say the name and then move on. Like, they don't have to share if they don't want to.
Right.
So that's another thing. I think something that has been interesting is seeing, like, some people... Actually, this hasn't happened to me yet, to be honest. I was going to say that some people who I would talk to at length haven't been, but that's not true. Like, everybody's been really nice to me. But then there's some people who've asked me about it that, like, I don't, like, know you like that. And people are just like, oh, that's so sad. You must be so sad. And I'm like, I have never shared a personal detail of my life with you before.
Chill.
Like, don't talk to me. Go away.
Yeah, chill.
Like, very, very kind, but cap it at, like, a sentence. Like, say, sorry about that, and then, like, walk away. Yeah. And before anyone gets anxious that it's them, it's nobody who would ever even listen to this podcast or know it exists. So if you're in that realm of my life, maybe don't ask personal questions about someone who died.
If you've never even listened to the podcast, don't fucking ask.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Yeah. I don't know. It's been funny. It's like, it's just one of those things, you know?
Of course.
So it was kind of really good timing, because if we hadn't been on hiatus, I fucking would have been in the last 2 weeks.
You would have had to have been on hiatus. Yeah, there would have been no, you know, there would have been no running around, working, making stuff, interviewing people.
Yeah.
Though, one thing that is actually kind of funny
oh my god.
is that we actually did do a very significant and cool interview in the middle of that chaos with a...
I didn't, like, understand how serious it was at the time, which was really helpful, I think, because I would not have been able to focus.
Yeah.
But yeah, like...
So funny.
So there were, like, a lot of windows of time where there were downturns in his health over the course of him being sick. So he had cancer. And that can be a really... It's a really weird thing to have gone through with somebody, because it can be so seemingly up and down, even though it is like a downward decline when someone's that old and has something like that. I guess that's case by case too, but like some days they'll be really bad and you'll see them a few days later and they seem like a lot better. So there were a lot of instances like that where it would be like he'd get rushed to the hospital, or like he would call my mom and be in a lot of discomfort, and he was sick for 6 years at varying degrees of severity. So there were a lot of like false alarms where everybody kind of like prepared for it to be like the moment, and then it just wasn't, and he was okay. So I think that by the time it actually happened, I had subconsciously built up like a layer of denial where I was like, like, on Saturday, that happened again, where it was like, all right, this is not... Actually, I think it was Friday. I don't remember. It was Friday or Saturday. It was like, there's something, like, not great is going on. And my mom called me, and my grandmother called me, and whatever. And I talked to him, and I saw him in the hospital and stuff. But then they were like, all right, well, he's stable, so he's going to go home. So we're like, okay, whatever. And then Sunday, I went home, and I went there in the afternoon. But before we went there in the afternoon, and I realized that it was actually very, very bad, we did an interview and had, like, a very normal morning. I, like, pulled a prank on my mom that morning. Which was
a pretty funny prank.
Poorly timed, I found out after.
Should we play the... No, maybe we shouldn't narrate.
I used, I'm not gonna play it because I feel like that's a bad audio to put into the world for his sake, but we used a, like, AI website to, like, deep fake my brother's voice from a voicemail he left me to say that he, like, got mad at my dad and, like, spit in his lunch one day, and I told him and my mom that the voicemail was from 2 years ago and I just found it. And I sent it to both of them. And what was really funny is that my mom thought it was completely true. Like, she just, like, was panicking. And I didn't know this, but she was at my grandfather's apartment, like, with the care nurse while this happened. And she thought that they were in a big fight. So I caused a lot of chaos by accident. And then had to tell her that I was just lying. It was just not great.
And to give context to the prank, the deep fake prank audio was, like, very accurate. Because
sounded just like
we used a audio sample of him talking and put it in a voice cloning software.
Yeah.
So
it was really funny, and I sent it to my brother too. And you know what was funny about his reaction is that he thought that it was AI, but he thought that he made an AI voicemail of himself and sent it to me 2 years ago and had forgotten. And was like, oh, I can't believe I did that. Haha, Theo, I can't believe you thought it was real. I was pranking you. And I was like, that's like the gymnastics that you had to do to come up to that conclusion. Like, if that were true, you would have left me a voicemail with your own voice. Also, I made this morning, so fuck you, Noah. Not true.
Yeah.
that was his first, like, he called me and he was like, haha, idiot. I was like, no.
Oh. And you were like, actually, you are haha, idiot.
You are haha, idiot. But yeah, then I swiftly realized that everything was going wrong, and it was not a fun few days after that.
It was unfortunately not a great time for a prank of that sort.
It was kind of a good time, I guess, because it made my mom laugh for like a second. She said that someday, a long time from now, she's gonna think it's really funny, but right in that moment, she thought I was an asshole. But she was laughing, so...
Right. Yeah, there's different ways to call somebody an asshole. There's, like, calling someone an asshole in, like, an impassioned, hateful way. Yeah. And then there's, like, being like, ah, ha, 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 you asshole, ha, 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 ha.
That's my mom's,
I think
like...
it was kind of like that.
Oh, yeah, that's my mom's, like, go-to, like, razz. Like, if she says that I'm a frickin' asshole, she's not serious.
But if
she says fucking asshole, I'm, like, fucked. It's a bad day.
I see, yeah.
It's rare, but...
Yeah. You know what's funny? I feel like I call people motherfucker.
Yeah, you do. You would
when
have
I'm
to be,
just
like,
kidding.
Insanely mad to say that in a serious way, though.
I've definitely done that.
I've never heard you use that when you were actually angry.
Well, I think that's because I probably...
You say it about objects. Like, you'll just say it as an expletive.
I'll call something a motherfucker. Like a rock.
Sometimes if you break something, you yell, you motherfucker. Just, like, into the ether. But I don't think I've ever heard you... I've actually never heard you get in a real fight with somebody, though. Now that I think about it.
Well, I think that there's a couple different ways you can handle a confrontation or altercation with a stranger. And if that ever happened while I'm around you, I would 100% choose de-escalation and avoidance.
Just while you're around me?
Absolutely, yeah.
What if I wasn't there?
Then I might take an aggressive approach. Like, then I might actually participate. Like, if somebody was, like, I don't know, talking shit to me or yelling at me, I might be like, yo, fuck you, you piece of shit. Or I'd, like, yell at them because I'm alone. So it's like, I can do anything.
No.
But I would never put...
That's not what that means.
But if I'm with someone else, anybody, I feel like it would be involuntarily putting another person into a conflict that they may not be consenting to.
But in an abstract way, because I'm your girlfriend that lives with you, if you got beat up by some guy on the street, that would still be involving me.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I'm not saying... Okay, also, I'm not a fucking idiot. If I was in an altercation with somebody and I feel 100% confident that I can accurately gauge whether or not somebody can literally beat the fuck out of me and kill me.
Oh my God.
That's very easy. Like, I'm old enough and experienced enough to know when I will absolutely lose if I was in a fight with somebody. Does that make sense? Like, is that fair to say? I'm not trying to be like macho Sigma badass guy, fight guy. That's not
Sigma to me.
like come on. You are so out of the loop that you don't know that everybody who says Sigma is saying it ironically.
But
nobody is being serious when they say Sigma.
Is the loop people who say Sigma? Is that
the loop? Is the internet. The whole internet.
It's not the whole internet.
Literally, nobody's like, yeah, I'm a Sigma, and they're serious. People say
that's
Sigma.
not the problem.
Sigma
Saying
is an ironic thing.
It doesn't matter.
I'm trying to tell you, I'm not like, you know how there are those guys who are like, yeah, whenever I get in the fight, I just black out and fucking kill people. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like I may sound like that guy right now. And I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to be that guy. Because I will never be in a fight. I'm an adult.
Yeah.
I don't get in fist fights with people ever. I would never punch somebody ever. Unless it was an emergency. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to clarify to everybody. That's just not 100% not factored into my lifestyle at all.
I believe you. I've never known you to do that.
Ever would I be in a fucking fight.
Just the way you were talking about it sounded.
I was just saying that so I will say this. I never ever get in fights, but I will admit that I get in arguments
you've been in
with people weekly. On a fucking weekly? Like maybe bi-weekly.
Oh my God.
Like at least once every 2 weeks, I am in an argument with a fucking random asshole. Because of my line of work.
What the fuck?
Because of food delivery. People literally ask anybody. Like, I don't want to steal somebody else's joke, obviously, but a friend of ours, John, who was in Bullpup, said something really... I don't know if this was intended to be a joke, but it was still hilarious. But they were saying... when they see like a pizza guy or a barista or something like that, they're like, oh, like have a great day, like here's a tip, like have a like night, like they like are like really kind and nice to the person. Mm-hmm. But when they see like a DoorDash or Uber Eats person, they're like, get the fuck out of here, like leave it outside, don't touch me. Like, do you know what I mean? Like people. Like, and I really, in my experience, in my 2,500 deliveries so far, that's a real number.
Yeah.
People literally want me to die. They hate me. Like, literally, 5% of people that I deal with are kind and chill and normal people.
Yeah.
And the rest of them think that I am like a murderer with an eye patch and a gun. And I'm gonna climb up their fucking front porch and kill them while they try to get the McDonald's from the porch.
That is interesting.
I don't know.
Wow.
I'm like...
I mean, I think that might be because of other people spoiling the bag of apples, if that makes sense. Because I can think of, like, off the top of my head, maybe, like, 1 or 2 customer service situations in an actual, like, even fast food place that went, like, horribly awry. Maybe, I don't even know if I can. Maybe just somebody, like, talked to me and said something weird, and I was like, oh. But I have horror stories of ordering delivery. It's
totally fair. Yeah, it's a type of job that attracts unusual people, and sometimes unusual people are horrible people.
Yeah, I think the thing is, well, it attracts anybody. Like, some people doing it are, like, parents, where it's, like, a quick thing you could do at night when your kids are in bed, or, like, part-time work or whatever. Some people are, like, college students. Some people do it full-time. Like, it's very flexible. So it could be literally anyone, and there's no, like, you don't have a manager who's with you every day who knows that you're weird and can fire you for being weird. You're just, like, unaccountable.
You're completely fucking unaccountable.
You can be completely socially, like...
Yeah.
Like, you could be socially antagonistic and not get fired, probably.
That's true. Because there's also a kind of animosity between, in my experience, between another angle, is there's animosity between delivery drivers in restaurants. Like, restaurants fucking hate the delivery drivers for 2 reasons, I think. And both are bad reasons. Like, the thing is, there's two things. I think that a lot of people who work in food service think that the drivers are, like, cheating, and they're, like, you know, they're kind of, like, taking the easy way out, and they have a fake job, and they're not really working hard. And, like, they're, like, I think there's a little bit of that, but I also, on the flip side of that, the drivers and the delivery drivers all are super fucking entitled and abuse the restaurant workers. The drivers act like with the same entitlement that a customer has.
Yeah.
When customers shouldn't act like that, but they will get away with it. But the food delivery guy acting like with that same entitlement causes altercations. And the restaurants don't like you. And also, I want to say too, I'm never mean to people who work at restaurants simply because of class solidarity. When it's like, I have a fucking awful job, they have a fucking awful job, and it's completely meaningless, pointless violence for either of us to be mean to each other.
That's true.
In my opinion. Like, I'm no better than somebody that works at McDonald's, and they're no better than me delivering McDonald's to some fucking asshole's condo that tipped me $1.
Yeah.
Like, we're in this together, dude. Like, we should not be abusing each other.
That's true.
That's how I see it. But the customers and drivers and the way regular customer people in the world treat food service workers in general and retail workers, it's obviously it's tough.
Yeah.
It's bad all around. How did I start? Oh, we were talking about fighting.
Oh, yeah. Why were we talking about fighting?
I don't remember why we were talking about fighting. Who cares?
I forget.
Yeah, but that's life, man. That's life. I had a pretty embarrassing experience recently.
Okay.
I feel like it's lame and awkward to talk about other podcasts on our podcast, but longtime listeners will know I'm a fan of the H3 podcast. I listen to that podcast. And they had a competition, a song remix competition, and I entered it, and I had fully convinced myself delusionally that I was going to win. I was like, this is it. This is my moment. This is my big break. I'm going to win the remix competition.
Oh, I didn't know you felt like that.
I don't know why I did feel like that, but then I didn't even get into the bracket. Like, I just straight up didn't even get into it at all.
Your song was good.
Yeah, and so that, like, it's obviously no big deal, and I'm an adult, and I'm not, like, a crazy person, and it doesn't matter. It's, like, an internet dumb thing, and obviously, like, you know, like, I get rejected from art things all the time.
Yeah.
So it's, like, really not that deep at all. But for some reason, it, like, fucked me up for, like, 2 days. I was like, dude, I'm so embarrassing. I'm so cringe. Aww. Why did I do that?
It's not embarrassing.
Stop feeling bad for me. It's funny.
You want me to laugh?
Riff with me. Don't feel bad for me, Theo. What the fuck?
What do you want me to say? Just laugh at
I don't know. Make jokes about it.
Oh my god.
Don't go, oh, I'm so sorry.
Well, okay.
No, I'm sorry. I love you. But that was pretty embarrassing.
Add a bar to Starland. That's pretty crazy. Big news on the South Shore, I guess.
Big fucking news on the South Shore.
I don't know. I just feel like I don't think it was a bad song. It's not embarrassing to go for something and then be disappointed if you don't get it.
That's true.
And nobody even knows you entered except for you telling everybody now.
Yeah. And it's funny. I don't know. I feel like it's a good thing because I'm that kid. Like, I was that kid my whole life that would see, like, an opportunity or, like, oh, everyone's trying out for this, or, oh, we're all going to try, I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or a game, anything. And I would see a competition of sorts, and I would instantly be like, no, I'm not doing it. Because I would be like, I'm just going to lose. I'm not even going to do that.
Yeah.
So, which is something I've gotten over in my life, obviously, a million times over.
Yeah.
But that kid's still in me, 100%.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, I'm a big fat sore loser is what I'm saying.
I feel
because that kid is telling me every time I see something like that, what the fuck? That's so dumb. You'll never. That'll never happen. You'll never work out. You'll never win. That's always in my mind, and I have to override that.
Well, it's a hard thing to override.
Painful.
I mean, I feel like there's some of that in me too when it comes to like competition stuff. Like, I don't know. Like, I think I don't really. Now that I think about it, I don't really enter anything juried ever.
I haven't in a long time either. I feel like when I was in art school, professors told me all the time that I need to enter juried art shows.
Yeah.
Like, that was the big thing they always talked about in art school was juried art shows. You got to get it. But since I left art school, I never did it again.
Yeah. I also had an experience one time with the juried art show. I think it was the last one I was ever in, where I submitted artwork. And the ones that I was in then it was very hot because I was like in high school and everybody that entered it knew each other. So it was like very, very competitive, even though everybody was being nice about it. And the person who won, I mean, their photo was probably like fine. I don't really remember. But I know that I submitted like a painstaking, like it took me like fucking 3 weeks graphite drawing. It was like photorealism that I was really proud of. The other person who got third was also my friend and had submitted a ballpoint pen drawing or something that was like really, really detailed and took them weeks. And the person who got first place submitted an Instagram photo with one of the pre-made Instagram filters on it.
What a fucking clown, dude.
I was so fucking
And it got
mad.
in?
It got first place. I was second. I was so upset. And I got second, so it was like I couldn't even bitch about it because like I still was like, you know. But I was so upset. And I'm still sore about it. Every time I saved the ribbon because I only entered like 2 things ever that had ribbons, and I was like, oh, second. And every time I look at it, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Deep cut lore for what were you gonna say?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say deep cut lore from my life is that for like half a year I was a gallery coordinator of a community art center thing.
Yeah.
And I witnessed the judging of multiple juried art shows by like we got the outside judge from this place, they're gonna judge the show, and I would have to be there while they judged it, and it was the most scammy bullshit fucking process I've ever seen in my life.
What do you mean?
Like, we had a photography show, and they had like a guy that like was from a photography school, and he was supposed to be like this, oh, we're so excited, he's judging the show and he's sponsoring it, we do this annually, it's gonna be awesome. And he walked in and he was like, sup, I'm Tyler, or like whatever, did like a 15-second loop walk around the room.
Yeah.
Just jotted the names of the winners on a sticky note and then left.
What the hell?
And those were the winners. And I was just literally fuck this guy. He didn't think about this critically or in any way at all. And like, and that type of shit would happen all the time where people, that's like, you know how there's like a lot of like resume things you can do as an artist where it's like just some fake thing that you didn't even care about, but you got to put it on your CV and you got to parade about it on Facebook.
Yeah.
And Instagram, and it's just like a random accolade that you get to add to the list. Mm-hmm. I think that an old artist and professor thing that a lot of those people do, I think that that's one of them.
Yeah.
Is being a judge for a juried art show.
Oh, being
a thing that people put on their CV. So a lot of people will find opportunities for themselves to be that judge. And they don't give a shit. They just are like, oh, I'm the judge. Great. I'm going to promote this and make myself look really smart and official, put it on my website. And then they just show up on their way to the grocery store, fucking pick 3 bullshit people and then leave. And don't even go to the reception, probably.
I mean, yeah, that can be true. Even when somebody is like actually putting effort into it, though, like it is, unless there's like specific parameters or like a prompt or like something that they're building the judgment around, it's different from something like a class or something like that where there might be a set outcome because it's just a matter of taste. So if you get a judge who doesn't like art like what you make, you're not going to win. And that doesn't mean that you were not the best one in the show, you know?
I think that it kind of like was like sad for me to see in a way, because I always imagined that juried art shows was a judge that like really like looked deeply at every painting and like, you know, was like agonizing over like which ones are the best and I really thought it was like that. but from my experience, like my completely subjective and anecdotal experience, with like a sample size of like 3 shows.
Well, it's the other thing too. Like sometimes like community centers or like smaller scale places will have a juried art show that's just like a random open call with no theme, and I think that can compromise the judging process, because it's just like if you have a theme to work. What are you doing?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get a bottle of water.
Are you doing it the loudest, longest way possible?
Packs of bottles of water are loud. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. If you have a theme to structure the judging around, you can judge it by who got closest to the theme or who accomplished the goal of the show the best. Like through the curatorial lens everyone agreed to before they submitted things, who got closest to the meat of what you were getting at. And that is something that is still subjective, but it's a little bit more, like you can kind of understand the assignment better. But if it's just like, submit, if you're a member, everybody can come in. And then you just have like one guy, like it's not even a jury, it's like one person judging it. That's like very random, really. Because it's like, it's just stuff this guy liked.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting point, because I have been in a lot of juried shows where it's an enter anything show.
And that means anything wins.
And yeah, that's a good point. But I also was in a juried show one time where I won. I got first place, and it was because the judge said I was the only one who seemed to represent the prompt.
Exactly.
The theme, and everybody else just did just throw something in type deal.
That's another thing too that I've noticed from like doing different art stuff where I was like organizing or curating and stuff. Sometimes people will take the prompt very seriously, and really you can see the connection either in their artist statement or their execution between what they were asked to present and what they actually did. And sometimes people just like want to submit to a show, which is fair, it's part of the grind, but maybe you have something that like you can vaguely spin it to fit the theme or the call. I've done that.
Me too.
And it, like, you did not make it for that reason. That was not what you were trying to say, but it kind of works, so you just send that shit in. And I mean, that's usually, I think that's the way that I apply to a lot of shows that I apply to, because it takes me so long to make my work. I just look through my portfolio and look at what suits. And I think that's probably the majority of the things that people receive when they have a show like that. That's just like, anybody can apply, free to apply, no theme, you know? So I think that the kind of judged show that you're doing really matters. If there's more than one judge, who the judges are. I've never done this in my life, so like take this with a grain of salt, but if you really want to win, you should maybe look up who the judges are and what kind of art they like. Like if they're a teacher, what do they teach? Like, is this person probably more like into sculpture, figurative work, or abstracts? You know what I mean? Like you can kind of read the room a little bit and see what would be the way that you would in an art class, you know?
Or alternatively, you can odds are, if you're entering a juried show, it's not the first one that this entity has probably done, and you can look up what pieces won in the past.
That's true too.
And they will probably have there will probably be a consistent theme of winners.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I mean, that sounds like a pretty like weird artistic angle to try to like essentially game juried art shows.
But that's like what it is. That's what you would do if you were writing a scholarship essay. Like if there's a prize or something.
A grant proposal.
Yeah. I mean, it's just meeting the theme. That's part of the game. It's not really doing anything wrong by doing that. Like that's what you're being asked to do. That's why they tell you who the judges are.
Interesting.
But a lot of people don't maybe do that. And then sometimes you have a judge that maybe even if they did authentically want to judge fairly, maybe they have a selection of artists who didn't read the prompt. That happens too, to be fair.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because going back to my story about entering an H3 podcast remix competition,
mm-hmm.
All of the winners and all of the contestants also had a accompanying video to their remix.
Oh.
And I didn't.
Damn.
But they didn't say that it's a video thing either. So I figured it wouldn't matter because
they happened to go the extra mile.
They had a song contest a year ago where they didn't even show any on-screen anything. They just showed the audio playing with them reacting to it. But this time, and I expected it to be like that, but this time it was all music videos, pretty much, or had some visual associated with it.
That makes sense, because I mean, if I was judging that and a bunch of people went the extra mile, even if it wasn't originally asked for, you would want to pick the cream of the crop for you know?
100% too.
So they raised the bar on you.
Yeah, and there was easily over 100 submissions, and, you know, just from watching you do Holding Space, which wasn't that like 60 or 70 submissions? And that was like a fucking flood. That was like a ridiculous amount of submissions to go through.
Yeah.
And it was less than what I just participated in and did not place.
It happens. It doesn't mean that what you made was bad. It just wasn't, you know, what they were looking for, I guess.
Anyway, so we were going to go grocery shopping right now.
Yeah, we're at Trader Joe's.
Do you think that we should pause this recording and go do that? Or do you want to like record for 20 more minutes and then go in? Because if we do like another chunk of recording, we don't have to add on to this episode at all. We can just call it in.
Okay. I did want to, just for the sake of fully processing, I wanted to talk more about the break that we took.
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
reflect on it a little bit, because we did kind of get off track.
Do you have more? Tell me your thoughts.
How did you feel about it? Do you think it was too long? It's the longest one we've ever done.
Look, I think that we live in a rat race world. This kind of like ephemeral famine mindset of attention and fame and success. And I think a lot of us people who are making content or making art for an audience or trying to make it with their band, I think a lot of us are prone to desperation and panic and anxiety and feeling like if we don't make it happen, like it's a horrible mindset to wake up every morning and be like, all right, maybe today I'm going to become famous. Like maybe today's the day my band makes it, or today's the day I become a famous artist with millions of dollars. Like you can, like, for example, like making it with, like, you know, like think of everywhere I am, and like I'll speak for myself. Everywhere I am as an artist, everything I've accomplished, the paintings I've sold, the shows I've been in, everything I've done, everything I am right now, it took me my 28 years of life to achieve.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. And I just think, to put it simply, I think that as creatives, we can suffer from a famine mindset where we think there's not enough success to go around. And that if we don't jump on it and work as hard and work our fucking fingers to the bone and go crazy, then we're going to be failures. But that's just not true. There's infinite fucking people. There's infinite bandwidth and space on the internet. It's not like they're going to cut off posts one day. Oh, nobody can post anymore. You guys missed your shot.
Yeah.
Like, nope, you can't. No more podcast episodes. You were capping it. Like, we can do this forever.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. Like, we have infinite fucking time. And I think, like, you know, as I get older, I think there's also another super negative train of thought a lot of artists fall into, where the older you get, a lot of people look to artists younger than them that are famous or something, and they're like, fuck, I wish that was me, or like, fuck, if only I'd made it then, or some stupid shit. Like, and that's horrible.
Yeah.
That's so bad for your fucking brain. Like, I think that's something that a lot of us forget too, as creatives and people on the internet, is that we have just a humble human brain. Like, we are still just a person, and we are so susceptible to harm and self-harm, digital self-harm and mental fucking hurting yourself and causing emotional distress and pain to yourself just by participating in this shit without protecting yourself and without thinking critically and without reflecting. And I fucking do that. I do that. Like, I have super fucking, like, I find myself in like completely black-pilled, evil, self-hating trains of thought about art and about the internet and about making it and about content. Like, I go there. I go to those depths by accident without realizing I'm there. And it's like, I don't know, man. I think I have seen people self-cannibalize and ruin their own lives because they couldn't protect themselves against that kind of thought and against that kind of behavior. Like it makes you into, like, you know, to use like a millennial idiot like tech term, it makes you black hatted. You know, like that with tech stuff, a black hat tech person.
No.
That's like if you're like a black hat like coder or whatever, you're willing to commit cyber crimes and do bad stuff and hack.
Black hat, like the
black hat, gray hat, white hat.
What?
It fucking don't worry about it. I'm just saying you can go outlaw mode essentially. You can become an art. You're like, oh, I'm an artist and a creative, and I'm trying to make it, but I'm also willing to do unethical things. I'm also willing to do crime. I'm also willing to, I don't know, rip people off or fudge numbers or lie. Like that's where that kind of thinking gets you, in my opinion, is it puts you in a world where you're willing to debase yourself to get what you want. And I think that's horrible. And you won't ever get what you want if you are doing that.
Well,
What does any of this have to do with our hiatus?
yes.
Well, I think that us doing that was in service to our higher selves. I think that was a favor to ourselves.
Yeah.
Of just being like, look, because here's the thing. My train of thought, when I hear hiatus, when I hear take a month off, when I hear that, my first thought is if we're not posting, if we're not putting it out there, if we're not doing this, then we're fucked. Then we're losing. We're going to die, or we're not going to, I don't know, like whatever, cuckoo dumb thing I'm thinking.
Yeah.
It immediately pushes that button in my mind. Is like, okay, we're fucked. If we're not doing that, we're fucked.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, because for example, during this hiatus, I also haven't posted on TikTok
I noticed that.
in like weeks. I just fucking didn't. And I felt really stressed about that too. But the thing is like, this isn't like, I don't know, man. Like this whole, like Gary Vee fucked our world up. He fucked up the world of content creators because he, for like years before the NFT thing, would say every day, every fucking post he's making, he's like, if you're a content creator, you have to post every fucking day. If you're not on the timeline today, you don't exist. Like he put, like, I'm not blaming him. I'm like being an idiot right now, but like, that's the kind of thinking a lot of us are in because of, I don't know, a lot of us think if we're not posting every fucking day, if we're not fucking grinding, if we're not constantly making stuff and constantly thinking, constantly and posting 10 times a day, then we don't exist. What kind of fucking mindset is that? I'm a person.
Yeah.
Like I babysit my nephew Reed, and he's a year old. I skateboard. I'm in a relationship, and I love you, and we watch movies together and play little video games. What the fuck? Like that's who I am. Not if I don't post 10 times a day, I don't exist.
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with us?
Also, from a creative standpoint specifically, you've been more productive since the hiatus, I think. Maybe not because of the podcast specifically, because like you said, you put a pause in a bunch of stuff, but I have seen you painting, sculpting, like making dolls, masks, like we've gone to the art store a bunch of times. Like you've been making stuff creatively again in a different way than before. Also,
my album has a track list of 18 songs.
That
right
fucking
now.
too, yeah.
And I'm gonna keep going because did you know who Morgan Wallen is?
I heard
Last night we let the liquor talk. That fucking guy.
Yeah.
Piece of shit, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, his fucking album, his most recent album has 26 songs or 36 songs or something.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's a different fucking game out there, dude. We're doing 30-song albums in 2024, dude. Anyway. But no, you're right, because I'm the creative energy is in the real world and actually fulfilling, and I'm I'm making art and being a part of my family and friends and my life and another thing too is like whenever I hear people say what I'm saying right now, the type of thing I'm saying right now, my first thought is like, well, I'd rather have a career than fucking do all that shit. Like, well, who, like, if I'm not, like, okay, that's all well and good, but I still got to post. And I still kind of feel like that. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm still making content, and I'm still going to make the podcast, and I'm still going to, hamster wheel grind on the internet. I'm still doing that, but it's just like I think the key is literally just is recognizing the famine mindset.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's really bad, and it puts people in. I can't stress that enough. It's bad for people.
I'm really glad to hear you say that, because I think something, and I don't want to say this to like, I think a lot of people feel the way that you do, and I felt like that before too, but I want to maybe pull myself out of the us there a little bit just to explain my perspective on this. Like, I think that we've talked before kind of vaguely or jokingly about it being a point of contention for us, like as partners and as creative partners and as romantic partners, like the podcast. And I feel like it's been hard to kind of, I don't know if I've fully explained that or like whatever, but I think that maybe you just explained it in a better way than I can, in that I don't usually think about things like that. Maybe I should think about it more. I'm like on the other side of the spectrum where I have my day job and I work really hard at that, and I take on additional tasks sometimes, but I have very specific boundaries for like, I'm going to work on this from this time to this time, and after that, like, fuck everybody, I'm not doing it anymore. And I post things when I want to share them, and sometimes I post like every day for a few weeks, and sometimes I don't post at all for like a month and a half, and I don't have as big of a platform as you do at all because of that. But for me, it's like in that same question of like talking about like this, like I have this stuff with my nephew or my family or whatever, like to me, my career is the most important thing to me in terms of like, if I were in a relationship where the person was like compromising I have left people because of that, like not letting me make art or didn't like that I was doing it or something, just that's over. Like that's immediately a deal breaker. Like friends that are going to shit on you for that or like
stifle your
in that way, absolutely, yes, my career is the most important thing. But if it's like the end of the day and I can either like stay up until 2 a.m. recording to meet a deadline, or I can spend it with you or like hang out with my family or relax, I'm probably going to choose the latter and just push the deadline unless I absolutely can't. And I try to schedule things so that I can have that flexibility, because to me, posting is never like, maybe it doesn't feel, I don't want to say it's not the most important things. I feel like that kind of says that's not the right message. Like, that's not what I mean. It's just like, I really value, I've had times in my life where my mental health was worse in a way that is connected to money and to that grind, not necessarily art related, but just with money at all. And I never want to be in a place again where I'm in that sort of desperation mindset where I feel like everything's going to fall apart if I don't do X, Y, and Z, and I've sacrificed everything because of it, which caused my mental health to be declining. So now that I'm in a position where I don't feel like that and I have the flexibility to prioritize my mental health, I always will. And I think that there's been some tension for us, because there's been times where like we talk about like it's Thursday night and we have to record and it's 9:00 and I do not want to do it and I'm resentful of the fact that we have to do it, but you have a similar passion and drive, feeling like you do really want to do it and we need to get it done, and we both have valid reasons for feeling that way, and it causes kind of a tension. But then like we didn't record for a few weeks, and like I said, it was nice for me to not be doing it. Like I enjoyed the extra time to like decompress and reset, but I also was thinking like yesterday, the day before, that like we hadn't talked about it, and you would be like, okay, we need to record now, we have nothing in the queue or whatever, and because you hadn't been, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, like what if we don't go back to doing that? Like that would be really sad. I want this to be in my life, but maybe in a more flexible way. So I think it's been really good from my perspective for us to kind of relax a little bit and have a taste of not taking it so, not taking it seriously, but not being so severe about it, because it really has been almost, has it already been 3 years?
3 years of the podcast?
Are we going on year 4?
No, I think we're in the 3rd year.
So we're coming up to our 3rd year anniversary?
Yes.
Okay. Really?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we started in 2021, not 2020.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So that's a long time.
January. We recorded this, I'm pretty sure, the day of or day after the January 6th insurrection.
I think it came out on January 6th.
I love that so much.
Let's put that in perspective, though. I was 23
when
we started this podcast.
Weird.
I'm 26 now. Like, think about things the same way. I don't budget my time the same way. I don't care for myself, my mental health the same way. I don't practice my art the same way. So adhering to this very strict schedule that we set then, like, it's just not maybe healthy to just force that template for the sake of the template versus forcing, or not forcing, but just letting the project exist in our lives the way that makes sense right now. And I think it was really good for us to do this as an exercise and kind of figuring out what that means.
Yeah, I mean, I often feel resistant to the idea that what are you looking at?
What the fuck?
Oh, wow. Is there 2 Trader Joe's? Are we hallucinating? There's 2 Trader Joe's right next to each other.
Maybe they're moving?
They must be moving. Anyway. I mean, I like to think, like, no, my art practice has been the same this whole time, but it has fucking, honestly, it's hard to even understand how much fucking shit is, it's hard to even see how much shit has changed because it has changed so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, I don't fucking know, dude. Like, I don't know, dude. It's just like, I don't know. I'm just grateful to be able to think about this shit critically because there has been many times in my life as an artist where I absolutely have not thought about this stuff at all. And I was just fully driving in the mist. Just fully not fucking knowing what I was doing or where I was going and not thinking about it. And I'm just doing like a monkey pushing a button over and over again to get food.
Yeah.
Like, that's, you know what I mean? And that's bad.
It's a very specific analogy.
Well, that's how I fucking felt. Like, I was like a chimp in a testing facility or something.
Yeah.
In my studio, DIY space, throwing shit at the wall like a fucking idiot all the time.
The thing about that I think is interesting, though, is, I don't know, maybe this doesn't make sense to say right now, but I feel like social media is really interesting because I think that, I don't want to use like real numbers, but I know for a fact that if I make a bunch of shit in my own studio and then do a studio sale, like, maybe I could post it online, but majority of the practice, it's not about posting, it's not about engagement, it's not about followers, it's just, I make this shit is cool, and then I sell it at a market or online. I could make like $500 in a weekend if I really busted my ass doing that. I don't think I've ever made $500 online. It's like a scratch ticket. The followers and the engagement, like, it feels good to get a post that goes viral, but that does not equate to money or career success. It just doesn't. And it's addicting. And when you're putting energy into that every single day, like, think about how many hours a week, a year, like, that is out of your life. And if you're getting something out of it, that's awesome. Like, it's not a bad thing for that to be a hobby or something that you really enjoy doing. But if it's something that's actively detrimental to your mindset and you're not making money at it, it seems like a losing game because then you're reinforcing the idea that you suck.
But I would also say that is calling for, if that is happening to you, if you're posting every day or you're constantly doing this, you're putting all this work in and absolutely nothing is coming out of it, the question should not be, should I stop? Am I doing the wrong? Like, the question is, should I stop? Like, that, I think that it's a different reckoning. Like, if you are constantly posting and like, if you're beating your head against the wall and nothing's working, it might be because you're posting you're just posting bad shit every day nonstop. Mm-hmm. And because you're so crazed and anxious, your content probably sucks.
Yeah.
Like, you're probably a lunatic. That, like, I don't know. Like, I think it's a big part of it also to consider is quality control. Because another thing to consider is that the algorithm or whatever the fuck is out there making things get seen and not seen is completely indiscriminate. Like, you talk about this. Sometimes you post and 5 people like it, but like a month ago you posted a video and it
2 viral reels.
And one of them though got like fucking 700,000 views or something on Instagram. Or some fucking ridiculous amount of, like, that's the thing. So you can just have nothing, no engagement for no reason. You don't know what you did wrong. And then you have one where it's got a bazillion fucking views. Like, it's like, you know, you can watch all the Mr. Beast interviews you want, and he can trick you into thinking like, oh, it's all just statistics and analytics and studying and knowing this and that. No, dude. He's fucking Mr. Beast, and he's got billions of dollars and a massive fucking team. Mm-hmm. That's why he gets 175 million views a video, not because he's a master of analytics and statistics and YouTube studying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people think that there's just some finesse or like artisan, like skill that you can have to like,
yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. The people who are viral want you to believe that's how it works, but it's not like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think also, though, what I'm saying is, like, that's a separate product from your art life. That's marketing. That's not art. It is an art, but it's not the same thing. Like, you not having viral reels doesn't mean you can't paint.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you aren't doing social media, like, I'm an artist that works full-time and makes my art, and I make money at my art, and I make money at my day job, which is in the arts, doing administrative shit. And I don't really care about my social media. I upkeep my Instagram because I like to have a hub and like a community around my art and a place where I can make those updates and reach people that care. But I don't even post on TikTok. My TikTok's private now. I don't have any other platform. And it's like, the only thing that worries me about that is if Instagram went under, I'd lose a lot of my archive, which would kind of suck. But I don't, like, that's not a driver for my work at all. And it's not really, it's just a vehicle to post. It's like it's not part of my job. And I'm okay with that. And I just want to make really clear that it's also not a required part of being an artist to have good social media game. It can really help you, but you also can be completely fine without it.
It's like, it all depends on what you want to. And I would compare, I have 2 points to make, but one on the necessity of social media as an artist. If you were a visual artist trying to make it in the world, I have met more highly successful visual artists in galleries and museums that don't have an Instagram account than ones who do.
Yeah.
I know more people in museums and galleries off of social media that make shitloads of money off their art with no social media.
Yeah.
Than people who really think about that. I'm not saying the opposite, right? Like, if you had to guess, you'd be like, oh, the people who have money have 100,000 followers on Instagram. That's how they make their money. No. It's people with no account that make money. I don't know why that is. It's a fucking mystery to me. There's that. But also, end of that point, whatever. It's just whatever. But I was going to say, it kind of reminds me of intuitive eating.
Yeah.
Where it's like, maybe it's bad to try to force yourself to be on a regimen or to listen to the voice in your head that maybe is telling you not to, or telling you to eat too much, or I don't know. But it's better, you know, you just eat when you're hungry.
Yeah.
Drink when you're thirsty. Like, if you feel compelled to share something, then do it. It doesn't have to be a regiment or a fucking this or that. It can just be you wanted to fucking you posted, so you posted. You wanted to post, so you post.
And the thing is, a lot of people, though, I feel that fucks them, because then when they do want to post, they can't reach anybody. Like, they don't have, it's not a mental health decision. It's like, if you want engagement, you have to stay on top of your game. Yeah. And yes and no, because it's like, I'm not going to stand here and say that doing that and having a social media plan and sticking to it and looking at your analytics and factoring that into your posting isn't helpful. Like, that is. You can get good engagement from that. But there's also a fuck ton of people that do that. They get nothing. And it's a full-time job. And the hours that you spend doing that, like, the reason that people go to college for that and do that as their career, and businesses hire people to do it, is because it's not just a thing you can randomly just, like, shit out and make it happen. You have to know what you're doing, and you have to spend a lot of time doing it. And if you're somebody who really enjoys academia, or you really enjoy painting, or you really enjoy your craft, you could put those hours into your craft and make connections in person through networking at events, or going to juried art shows and talking to the jurors, or doing it your own way and be just as, if not more successful. You can't force yourself into a skill set you don't have. And I think a lot of people, like, another skill that maybe more so like 10 years ago, everybody was telling young people that they should go into like tech or IT. And it was very easy for a lot of people to say, I don't care about that. I'm an artist. I'm not going to study Excel, whatever. Those people did make money, and it paid off for them because it is a valid roadmap. But if you just randomly switch to like computer science when you're supposed to be doing painting, you would not succeed, because that's not what you do. And I think that it's really important to acknowledge when something just isn't something you're interested in or good at. And you can always get better at something if you work at it. I'm not saying you can't, but forcing yourself to do this because you think it's the only way to succeed is just so short-sighted. And I think for me, I have a very visceral reaction to stuff like that because I don't want to ever feel like I'm forced to work on a project that the execution of feels stale. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's where a lot of resentment about the podcast is coming from for me, where it was like, it didn't feel intuitive for me to be doing it the way that we were doing it, which doesn't even mean every week releasing, but I don't know, maybe a combination of things.
I would also, I agree with everything you said, but one thing I did want to point out about something earlier you said.
Yeah.
Is the concept that if you're not posting that much, then your reach diminishes, and now when you post again, you don't get as much. That is something that's more of a OG Facebook algorithm situation. Like that was 100% true in Facebook Pages days, and yesteryear of Instagram, but that is not true anymore with TikTok or Reels or YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
Like in the Reels and Shorts world, that's not the case at all. Like it's literally just divine coin flip with Reels and TikTok. You know what I mean? If you're managing a Facebook business page or or you're hard posting on YouTube or hard posting Instagram that might be true, but you've seen it. You've had fucking massive posts out of the blue. That didn't have anything to do with your reach. You know what I mean? I'm just saying I agree with you, but I'm trying to point out good news associated with what you were saying too.
Yeah.
That actually it's better than that.
But I would also say that I've had posts that I've made that got like 20 likes where someone reached out and bought the piece for me, and I made nothing off of the post that got like fucking 20,000 likes.
I don't know. I guess it's all how you look at it. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. I think all in all, I feel like we're kind of losing the thread a little bit, or I'm getting kind of exhausted. But I think regardless, I think that the hiatus is a good thing, and I think it's about leaning into our intuition more. And I don't know, man. Like, you know, if you were lifting weights trying to get big and strong, and you fucking tore a muscle in your arm while doing that, you're not supposed to just power through that.
Yeah.
And be like, fuck, like, and deal with the fact that you hurt yourself and keep lifting weights. It's supposed to heal and rest.
Yeah. And I think something that but I'm trying to point out though too is like, I agree with that, but I think something that maybe we're not quite hitting right now is that we had and have had maybe the whole time very different views on this and have been trying to find something that works for both of us. Like that intuitive eating model gets more complicated if you're thinking about intuitive eating for two, you know what I mean? Like what feels right to you or make you feel less anxious might not be the same as for me, and that's fine. And it's just a matter of figuring out what the middle ground is. I mean,
if I could just point out one thing, like I think one thing that we've learned 10 times over is paycheck to paycheck recording isn't fun.
Yeah.
We can do it for a couple weeks and that's it. But the times where we have gotten exhausted, we were doing paycheck to paycheck for like months.
We've known for so long that we can't do that.
But
too.
I'm saying like I'm cool with it. If it's 1 or 2 weeks, like we do it once or twice while we build up the queue.
Yeah.
But if we do it, like we recently did it probably 8 episodes in a row. We're on the fly, recorded like the fucking day or two before release.
Yeah, I think that was a big part of the problem.
So if we're talking about intuitive eating for 2, we know that is bad.
Yeah.
So
that might be the whole problem.
That's
really.
enough. That's
That's
perfect. That's enough to go off of right now.
Yeah.
So we've got a fucking amazing, the best interview in the world coming up. You know, either it came out last week or it's coming out after this. I don't know the sequence of release currently for our queue. Mm-hmm. You know, we're recording this one right now. And we got other stuff in the works.
Yeah.
So it's like Don't we have an interview in the tomorrow or something?
Yep.
Yeah, so we're chilling. We're good. There's no fucking problems. I love you.
I love you too.
I'm sorry. I feel like we just had a conversation about social media and it ended up seeming like I was disagreeing with you or criticizing the way you were talking about it or your perspective on it.
No, I didn't feel that way. I was actually worried that you would feel that way about what I was saying. I was trying not to sound critical. I
think that your advice or your perspective on it often favors, peace of mind and taking care of self rather than working too hard or something or caring too much.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I think there's a lot of parts to that. Because it doesn't mean not working too hard. It just means, like, thinking about your energy as a finite resource and thinking about what you want to put it towards. Because you might still be working, but instead of posting or planning posts or making art to post it, like, I don't know, time-lapse or, like, voiceovers or whatever, putting that same energy into studying a new medium or, like, making things for an upcoming event or something. Like, you could still be working. It might not be rest time, but you have, like, your time in a day is a finite resource more so than money.
Yeah, and let me tell you this. I've seen a lot of people do this, and it's happened to me too. But if something does go viral and you get a moment in the sun and you get a little bit of attention, if you got no portfolio, you got no product, you got no albums out, just the one single that's a minute and 30 seconds long.
Yeah.
Like that shit, that attention fades, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's there for a week or two and then it's gone. And you get lightning in a bottle and you do something with it. But if you got no product and no quality at all because you didn't put any work into it, you just obsessed over social media, what the fuck was it worth? What was the point of that? Mm-hmm. Right? Like imagine if a candle selling business goes viral before their fucking online shop set up. Yeah. And then they don't get it set up in time. They're not selling any fucking candles.
And here's another thing too. Like, I think that, I mean, that's a whole other conversation, but you should, talking to anybody listening who might be relating to a lot of this, really stop and think about if what you're talking about wanting is, when you say artistic success or career success, are you talking about making money? Are you talking about being highly educated? Are you talking about really refining or mastering a certain skill set that you want to master? Are you talking about fame? Like, those are not all the same thing, and they can overlap, but you might not want all of them. Like, you might even be trying to blow up on TikTok and not really want that at the end of the day, even if you were to get it. And for people that do succeed in that, everybody, when you get those views and you get that traction and then it drops off, it ebbs and flows for everyone. Like, there's literal famous people that will post things like, oh, my videos aren't getting any views, I don't know why. Like, I don't know what I did, all of a sudden everybody unfollowed me at the same time. And it's like, that happens to everybody, and it is going to happen to you if you do get that success. And that doesn't mean anything bad. It'll probably come back again. But you have to understand that there's multiple moving targets. It's not all the same thing.
That's true. One time, I lost like 5,000 followers in a day.
Yeah.
It was fucking painful.
I remember that day.
Oh my God, it was bad, dude.
And, yeah.
Anyway.
I think that's another reason that we have disagreements a lot, and we don't talk about this very often, but for me, I'm not, like, worried about it, really, because I know that it's, like, a 1 in a million chance anyway from people who work for it very hard, so, like, I'm under no delusions that this will accidentally happen to me, but I'm not an artist who's interested in fame.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay with being known a little bit, but even having the podcast makes me anxious. I'm not an entertainer, and I will never be. So if it comes down to, should I post every day or should I work on the thing that I find interesting, I'm going to do that. So I think that can be a disagreement too, because I just genuinely don't find any joy in that. I don't hate it, but it's not like for me. As a
podcast fucking fanatic, there, someone who has listened to thousands of different people's shows, there's a lot of people with real successful podcasts that have a private Instagram with only like 400 followers. Yeah. And it's just family and friends. There's a lot of people who do that.
Yeah.
It's like not a crazy notion.
Well, I mean, I do have like a public image, I guess, but I'm not upset about anything that I don't currently have. Like, my reach, and the reason that I do have a public profile and why I like reach out to people, why I do this podcast, is because I find art making and learning about new mediums and learning about what other people are thinking about and the academic research really fascinating, and I want to extend my reach and talk about these things with as many people as I can and get as many perspectives as I can. That in itself is the rewarding work for me, and whatever comes with that will come with that. And if I have to work a day job while I do it, like, this is my hobby, this is my joy. So for me, it's really that, like, academic is the wrong word, but like the educational slant to it, and like playing with the materials, the tactileness, like meeting with other artists, that involves a sort of social element, but it's not about like I want a bunch of followers or I want to play shows or something, you know?
Yeah.
No shade to anybody who does want that. It's just, I guess I don't have that same, like,
It's you have a self-awareness.
well, I mean, I don't have
about.
a drive to be posting.
Yeah.
Like, I don't lose anything by, like, nobody's gonna unfollow me that knows me in real life for some reason, unless they were, like, mad at me, you know? So, if I get a post that blows up, that's crazy, like, cool, but it's not, like, did they close?
No, but they're about to. We're good.
There's nobody in there.
Let's wrap this up and then we'll go and get our shit. Boston Art Podcast. I'm sorry. I was doing this.
We're in a closed bar.
I love you. I'm sorry.
I love you too. Dude, you in the last few days have suddenly started screaming right next to me so often. I was sleeping the other day, and right next to me, Brian is playing a video game, just goes, fuck! Like, in my ear, and I woke up in terror. Like, panicked. It's like the middle of the fucking night.
I was playing Little Nightmares 2, and it was really frustrating.
Disproportionate
and I
reaction.
didn't want to look up cheats. I wanted to solve all the puzzles without looking up walkthroughs.
I was snuggled up on your chest in my sleeping hat, like 11 p.m.
All right, let's wrap this shit up. We gotta go get our fucking... Well, there's 20 minutes left until they close. It's really not that big of a deal, actually.
Do you want to go in there in the last, like, 5 minutes they're open?
With, like, 1 minute to spare.
Yeah, what? They're clearly trying to close. They're stocking shelves right now.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye, Boston Art Podcast. Thank you for listening. We love you. You're awesome. Bye.
Bye.
Boston Art Podcast is an independent DIY production by Brian Huntress and Theodora Earthworms. The information contained in this episode represents the views and opinions of the original creators or our guests, and does not represent any institution, organization, or business. Find us on Instagram at Boston Art Podcast, and tune in for a new episode every Friday. Thank you for listening.